HOA fined me for too many vehicles, didn't know I legally owned the whole subdivision. Have you ever been slapped with a fine so absurd it made your blood boil, only to discover you held the ultimate trump card? The letter arrived in a crisp, official-looking envelope, the kind that screams trouble before you even open it. Emily Carter, a single mom and mechanic who'd poured her heart into her fixer-upper home, tore it open to find a $500 fine from the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. The offense? Excessive vehicles in the driveway, citing her work truck, her daughter's beat-up hatchback, and a vintage Mustang she was restoring in her garage. Emily's jaw clenched. She'd been fixing cars since she was a teenager, turning wrenches to keep her family afloat. Her vehicles weren't just metal, they were her livelihood, her daughter's independence, and her passion project. But the HOA, led by the ever-sneering Karen Whitmore, didn't care. To them, Emily's driveway was an eyesore, a blemish on their pristine suburban utopia. Karen, the HOA president, was the kind of woman who wielded her clipboard like a scepter. She patrolled Willow Creek with a hawk's eye, slapping fines on anyone who dared to leave a trash can out past noon or plant unapproved begonias. Emily had already clashed with her over minor infractions: a mailbox that wasn't regulation height, a fence panel that needed repainting. But this vehicle fine felt personal, a jab at Emily's blue-collar life in a neighborhood of manicured lawns and white-collar egos. The notice demanded she remove 2 vehicles within 48 hours or face escalating penalties. Emily crumpled the paper, her hands trembling with rage. She'd had enough. Determined to fight back, Emily dug into the HOA's rules, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, CC and RS, that governed Willow Creek. She spent hours poring over the dense legal jargon, her coffee growing cold as she cross-referenced parking regulations. The CC and RS limited homeowners to 2 vehicles in the driveway, with exceptions for temporary guest parking requiring board approval. Emily's work truck was essential for her mobile mechanic business, and her daughter needed her car for college. The Mustang? It was garaged, not even visible. She drafted a polite but firm appeal, explaining her situation, and sent it to the HOA board, expecting at least a hearing. Instead, she got a curt email from Karen. Rules are rules. Pay the fine or face further action. Emily's frustration boiled over. She wasn't just fighting a fine, she was fighting for her right to live her life. She started asking questions around the neighborhood, knocking on doors to see if others had been targeted. That's when she met Tom, a grizzled retiree who'd lived in Willow Creek since its inception. Over a beer on his porch, Tom dropped a bombshell. You know, Emily, this subdivision's got a weird history. The original developer never fully handed over control to the HOA. Word is, he still owns the whole damn thing. Emily's eyes widened. What do you mean, owns it? Tom shrugged, pulling out an old property map. The guy who built this place, some recluse named Hargrove, kept the master deed. The HOA runs things, but legally, he's got the final say. The twist sparked a fire in Emily. She wasn't just a homeowner, she might be sitting on a bigger secret. She drove to the county records office the next morning, armed with Tom's tip and a hunch. Hours of digging through dusty files revealed a shocking truth. Jacob Hargrove, the developer, had indeed retained ownership of the subdivision's master deed. And Jacob Hargrove? He was her late father. Emily's heart raced as she pieced it together. Her dad, a quiet man who'd passed away when she was a kid, had left her the house in his will, but she'd never known about the master deed. She was the legal owner of Willow Creek, not just her lot, but the entire subdivision. Armed with this revelation, Emily consulted a lawyer, a sharp woman named Mia who specialized in HOA disputes. Mia's eyes gleamed as she reviewed the documents. This is gold, Emily. The HOA's been operating under the assumption they have full control, but you hold the master deed. You can dissolve the HOA entirely if you want. Emily didn't want to go nuclear, not yet. She wanted Karen and the board to squirm. Mia helped her craft a letter to the HOA revealing her ownership and demanding an immediate meeting. She didn't mention dissolving the HOA but hinted at her power to reassess the governance structure. The HOA meeting was a spectacle. Karen sat at the head of the table, her usual smirk plastered on her face, flanked by her loyal board members. Emily walked in, her work boots clomping on the polished community center floor, and dropped the master deed on the table like a mic. "I'm Jacob Hargrove's daughter," she said, her voice steady. "And I own Willow Creek. All of it." The room fell silent. Karen's smirk vanished, her face paling as Emily laid out the truth. The HOA's authority was a house of cards, built on a misunderstanding of the subdivision's ownership. Emily wasn't just a homeowner, she was their landlord. Karen sputtered, trying to regain control. "This is absurd. You can't just waltz in and claim ownership. We've been running this community for years." Mia, standing beside Emily, slid a copy of the deed across the table. "It's not a claim, it's a fact. And your fines? They're unenforceable without Emily's approval." The board members exchanged panicked glances. Karen doubled down, accusing Emily of forging documents, but the lawyer shut her down with a stack of notarized records. The meeting descended into chaos as neighbors, summoned by Emily's earlier outreach, packed the room, cheering her on. They were tired of Karen's reign of terror, her fines for unapproved holiday lights, her threats over kids' lemonade stands. Emily didn't dissolve the HOA that night, but she made it clear things were changing. She voided the vehicle fine and demanded a new board election, one she'd oversee as the subdivision's owner. Karen resigned in a huff, her clipboard abandoned. As neighbors nominated Emily to lead a reformed HOA, she didn't want the job, but she accepted it to ensure fairness. Under her watch, the CC and RS were rewritten to prioritize residents' needs over petty aesthetics. Parking rules were loosened, fines capped at reasonable amounts, and hearings became mandatory before penalties. Emily's victory wasn't just about her driveway, it was about reclaiming power for every homeowner who'd been bullied by Karen's overreach. She turned Willow Creek into a place where people could live, not just conform. As she parked her work truck proudly in her driveway, the Mustang gleaming in the garage, Emily felt a weight lift. She'd turned the tables, not with anger, but with truth. What do you think? Did Emily handle Karen's overreach the right way? Or should she have gone further and dissolved the HOA entirely? Share your thoughts below.